Yeah, so hello, welcome back to another video with me, Marcel, and today I do a really different video with a different subject. So I'm going to talk about my personal view of a topic that is really close to my heart because you can find some information about that on the internet, on some YouTube videos, and it's the 12th house of astrology. 12th house, and especially 12th, the sun in 12th house in Pisces, and Pisces is intercepted. So there is no point of the house that is in Pisces. And I want to talk about my personal experience with this combination and my personal how did I develop my sun as a Pisces. So I'm a Pisces. My sun is again in the 12th house, so that's Pisces, if you know what I mean. And my sun has a square to Neptune, so the ruler of Pisces. So my sun is like really influenced with all that, and there you see Pisces. I like it. And yeah, there you see another Pisces stuff. So, and it's again, the 12th house is so large that Pisces is like in it, completely intercepted. But I don't really want to go into astrology details. I just want to talk about my personal experience because the 12th house is really hard to grasp, even for people who study astrology. And I want to give my personal insight, what it's like to have this placement, and how did I develop with this placement, and what did I do? So I don't know if this is going to be a really long video, but yeah, first of all, sun, yeah, it's like your core, it's like your ego inside of you. And yeah, if sun is in this water sign, in this mutable feminine water sign, again in the 12th house, so it makes it maybe a little hard to deal with the outside world. And just give you some insight about my life when I was younger, especially when I was a teen. So sun represents again also how I saw my dad, and it wouldn't be a surprise for most of you. So when I was yeah, like from my birth until my 10th birthday, my dad was working a lot, so he wasn't at home until very late, and I had to go to bed. So my mother just took me to bed, so I didn't really get to know my father really well. And until the day that he had a major heart attack, when I was like 11 years old, and that changed a lot. So when I was like a child, I was some active child, a dreamy child. Of course, it's what we say about Pisces in general. I wasn't really present in the day-to-day life. I was like, yeah, I was going to school, but I didn't really care about school. Was I a good student? I didn't really study. I was like in school, yeah, and I loved doing creative stuff, but I wasn't that interested. It depended really on what topics they were talking about. Like, I loved dinosaurs, like most of the kids in the first, second grades. But I wasn't really that interested. I just went to school. I kind of liked it. I liked the other kids. But then when my dad was with a heart attack and he had to get hospitalized, he almost died, and it was really hard for the whole family. That's when it was really different. So my father even got more distant. He was totally absorbed with himself. What was, yeah, I could comprehend that as a boy, but it didn't really help me to get a bigger connection. and my mom, who was kind of strict. But until this day, my mom took care of my father, and so I was like really left alone. So nobody disturbed me. So I was in my room, and I was like for hours in my head. Yeah, like sun in the 12th and Mercury as well in the 12th, and Mercury is like retrograde. So you could imagine I was like blah blah in my own thoughts, and nobody interrupted me. And when somebody interrupted me, I really disliked that. And I was like hiding off from the outside world completely. I couldn't, like, I didn't learn how to interact with the outside world. I was just in my thinking about all really abstract things I loved, being like in the clouds, like they say. And then with school, really, with my puberty, was like I was really premature from my body from my body, because I grow hair like really quick. I'm really hairy like everywhere. I didn't like that because I was still really childish. I was still not part of this world. I was still like, and I could see from my earliest memories that I have, I could see colors moving around, and I didn't really share this with nobody. I talked with nobody about these kind of things, but I had a lot of night terrors when I was young. Yeah, no, like for most of the time when I was young until in my early adulthood, I had a lot of nightmares, and I didn't comprehend what was going on, that I was like really like a sponge who was like like having all those emotions from everybody around me. I couldn't really, it was no filter, everything was going through, and I mixed up everything. I couldn't see what was belonged to me, what didn't belong to me. That was really impossible when I was, even when I was a teen, I couldn't really see and comprehend that. I was like really totally open, and there was like, and but in the inside of me, it got stuck. I couldn't. I went, oh, what's this? So I took it and I looked it, and it was like really a mess. That's what we say about Pisces, that like chaotic. I was some kind of chaotic in the outside, because on the outside I couldn't handle like routine. I couldn't handle that at all, or how to take care of myself, because when my dad went sick, my mother, who like dictated a lot, she told me and my sister, yeah, you have to do this and that and all the time, yeah, you have to wash your hands, la la la. And suddenly I just stopped. I'd really just stopped, and I was like in my own bubble the whole time. And then at home it was really awful, because my dad was always here, but he wasn't in a good condition, he wasn't in a good place. And my mom was like really completely, she couldn't handle the situation as well. She couldn't handle that. It was like, it took good over, and I didn't like it at home. So like from a really early age, I was like pre-teenager, I didn't go home after school. I just went with my friends into the city, and we hanged there. We were some hanger kids, and we doing stupid stuff. And I didn't like it at home, so it was really difficult. And we played a lot of video games all the time. Nobody stopped us. So, but that was giving me a major problem in school. School just went by. I didn't have the best grades. I didn't have to study. I rarely did my homework, but somehow I managed to get along. But I'm coming to this point afterwards. And I was like for hours in my own bubble. I was always out with my friends, and that was like really, I was not prepared for for this life, for how to get along. Yeah, I was prepared, of course. Right now I see what was preparing for me, but it was really hard to learn what you have missed when you're younger, when there's okay, now it's the time to learn, transform into a young man and all that. I was like all mixed up. Nobody seemed to care. Marcel just gets along in the life, and I felt like completely lost. Completely lost. My inner world was so much bigger than this outside world, and then you have to choose, what do you want to study, what do you want to, I had absolutely no clue at all. What should I do with my life? I didn't know who I was, so I asked like everybody around me, so who do you think I am? And I got lots of information, and even information. He told me I was like that, extroverted. The other one that you're completely introverted. And that confused me because I was looking for someone who told me who I was and where my place in this world is. So I was like I hope that like Jesus is coming down and show me, so Marcel, this is your place. This is your place and your journey, and this is what you have to do. And I was manipulated a lot because I gave like everybody the opportunity to like dictate me. So you're this, Marcel, and you're this, and you're this. And I got always labeled. Okay, Marcel is like that, Marcel is like that. And it was so confusing for me, as even as a young adult, it was so confusing for me. I didn't know. I didn't like the adult world, because I think there is no fun. It's so serious. You have to take care of electricity bills and all the things that I didn't love. So I just went even further into myself. I discovered, of course, a lot inside of myself, but I was also really afraid what I was seeing, because then I already told in another video, I had out-of-body experiences. Because I wasn't really attached to my body, I couldn't feel, oh, this is flesh. I couldn't really feel it until the age of like 25. I didn't really feel my body. It was so strange for me to have this body, and I had these out-of-body experiences. They weren't induced by drugs. I have to say to this, Pisces often get connected to drugs, alcohol abuse or whatnot, but I never really was interested in alcohol, cigarettes or any drugs. At least when I was younger. But all my friends at the time, they were experiencing like from a really early age. I don't know, I got in contact with people like at the age of 13. Some of my classmates already started to smoke marijuana, Mary Jane, like from a really early age. And I didn't really bother, but it wasn't, or like alcohol, I didn't have a big pleasure starting alcohol. I didn't do it. Like beer, it wasn't, and still up to this day, I don't like beer. I don't drink beer. Yeah, of course I can drink it if it's like mixed with some lemonade, so I can drink it and I will drink it, but it's not really my style. And even smoking like joints, of course I tried, but it wasn't my thing. When I was like a bit older, like 18, 20, I took some magic mushrooms, and that was a good experience, but it was again also really chaotic because I was really chaotic at the time. I was studying lab technician, biological lab technician, and it was really, I was not, I lived in a with some other students in another city, not close to my parents, and I had to care for myself, so I had to cook for myself, and it was completely lost. I just ate pizza and just did whatever I wanted, like a really hedonistic lifestyle. I just, okay, let's see, okay, oh, I forgot to eat like today, oh, I don't know, or I ate like 3 times, 5 times, 6 times today. It was like there was no structure in it, no. And yeah, it was like really no structure at all for nothing. So to structure myself, to have like a bit of routine, because I didn't like routine, I didn't like responsibility, because if I take responsibility, but I learned that afterwards, I'll take it really hard. I want to be good, but this has more like to do also with my moon sign. My moon that is in Capricorn in the 10th house on the top of a T-square. But yeah, I'm not going into this right now because I stay like in 12th house thingies. Yeah, you could see, and I was like, when I was like a teenager, I was like so, I wouldn't say hyperactive, I was like hyper nervous. I was like always like doing stuff and touching stuff, and things were falling down. I was like really nervous. I couldn't sit still, and I was hating it. So I was, but I could hyper focus. Like for example, just sit here and think. I could do this for hours, and it was a big pleasure. And I was like time traveling in my thoughts. I imagined worlds and all that, and imagined what happens if my body or my soul inside that, it's like here around me. If I imagined that was my body was like a flask, and I could open this flask and my soul gets out and gets around in the whole room everywhere at the same time. How would I see? And I was still really young, was thinking about all the things, and then somebody told me something similar with physics and all that, and I said, oh, I was thinking about this, and I said, yeah, yeah, you have read this book and blah 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 and about this. And no, I just was thinking about things like that. Or I was thinking about black holes and all that. I was fascinated by that, but I didn't really read a lot until later when internet became really popular. So I was like for hours in the internet. I still am today. So yeah, just, and yeah, if you see like Pisces is intercepted, so the main ruler is Aquarius. So yeah, everything that's with nerves and like internet is like a thing, whoa, and it's getting really more confusing. So to get a grip of sun, because I didn't know who I was like completely lost for like a really long time. And I, even in my relationships, I always, but not consciously, unconsciously looked for someone who tells me, so this is your place. And if you are someone like that, you give a lot of power to the other one, and he can start to manipulate you, even though he doesn't want to manipulate, but you give him this, because I'm like, yeah, just like almost do whatever you want. And yeah, I always found men that were like really well structured, but almost too much structured, and I could adapt. I adapt really well because I'm a Pisces. Yeah, water sign, mutable sign, really impressed really fast, and but I can adapt to that. To a certain degree, it's no problem. But if you're in a relationship with someone, that it's not the point that you have to adapt and to surrender to someone completely. And I do probably give this impression, but inside, I had to learn this, that inside of me there's another power that's so powerful that doesn't want to be that way. Yeah, I can adapt, but you should just leave me the way I am, because there's so many people who are trying to fix me. Oh, this guy, this poor man, he needs help. No, I don't need help. Of course, I suffered a lot through what was happening with my dad, and my dad passed away when I was still kind of young. He almost passed away, and I had a lot of traumas with what was happening. But I kind of learned to deal with that, of course, with all the side effects. And the whole family was like tearing apart because my mother was like really focused on my dad, and my sister and I, we were just like yeah, just my sister is like older, 3 years older. She was already in another phase of her life. She was already almost past puberty when I was like really going nuts in the puberty. I was like really, I hated myself. I discovered that I was gay, and I didn't like that at all. I couldn't accept it like for a really long time. And I was like thinking all, and nobody helped me, or I didn't know how to go to some people, how to tell that you feel that way, or that you didn't. I always had this feeling I didn't belong in this world. This is not me. I don't want this. Even when I was really young, I know when I went to sleep, I didn't want to wake up. Not that I wanted to die physically, but I was like, oh, I want to go back. I want to go back in this. This is more reality than this. This is so great, this world. And that's why I just tried to escape. And yeah, that's what we say about Pisces. And I had a lot of troubles at work, a lot of trouble in school. It started in school. That, yeah, I was like not paying attention. I was disturbing the class, and when I was a bit younger, and then I learned to adapt. But still, like up until the 9th grade, I was like really speaking all the time, disturbing a bit the class. But there were many people. That was really cool. In my school, I went to a private school, but not because my parents were rich, because it was like free for my family, because my dad worked there, and so for everybody who worked there, it was like free. And that was good. That the other ones were also a bit like that, but it was not good, because, yeah, like, it wasn't strict. The school wasn't really strict as well. So I had really problems, because I started to make graffitis when I was like 12, 13. I really started early doing shitty stuff, or cool stuff, actually. I just wanted to express, but I didn't know how. And graffiti was like a way, as I didn't know I was like really real. I always thought I was like some kind of dreamy structure, or just more a soul than everything else. Well, body, I don't know what body is. So emotions, yeah, really emotive and all that, but body wasn't like not really here. So I was living like next to the highway, so we didn't like live in a nice neighborhood. We were like really next to the highway, and we heard the noise from the highway, but you get used to it. But there were so many graffitis, and so I was like really, wow, yeah, that's so cool. And I started tagging, and this made me feel alive. This made me, oh, I can change something, and people notice that you're alive even though they don't know who it is. And then I started like going on into my city and started tagging. I was still like 13 tagging. It was really bad what I was doing, like really bad. but it gave me a sense of, yeah, okay, you can somehow interact with this world, and it stays. It stays for a moment, your tags you're doing, and maybe people get upset. You have a reaction. And as nobody like showed me the borders, the frontiers of myself, so it was like a cloud that was like going around. I couldn't focus myself completely except at what's inside of me. And it was like really, even that was not really structured at all. So yeah, went on, and I went to have my first jobs after the really chaotic school, and even in the studies they wanted to throw me out because I didn't follow the rules. I was like breaking all the rules, but not really conscious. I just was like that. Was like a bit out of control. Was like a bit out of control, and just didn't give a fuck, didn't give a damn. I didn't like doing that school, and I thought, man, like this job, I have to do it for the rest of my life. I can't. I hate it. Well, what? I should live on this planet. Fuck. I was still completely lost. And there was so many things that were coming externally all the time, and I tried to deal like with everything. People were coming to me like from a really early age who had some mental illnesses. So I'm really interested in mental and the psyche. This is so interesting. Also because I was like in contact with a lot of people that were like schizophrenia, people who have a schizoactive disorder and all that. So I don't want to hurt anybody like this, because a schizophrenic, I know that some people don't like these terms, or like with people who have borderline personality disorder, or like bipolar disorder. Because I was so open, I was like invented those people into my life, and I just thought, yeah, this is a normal spectrum. Or even I had people who were a lot of autistic behavior, like Asperger people. I had so many Asperger people in my life, and I wasn't uh, like working in that place. Never. I just worked as a lab assistant or a lab technician, and people were coming to me. Even you have to imagine 12th house. Maybe that's really 12th house. I don't say that I'm a pro at that. I just want to say my experience. Like, for example, I walk in the street in the city, and suddenly someone comes up to me. And in my country, it's not like in America, for example, who people like constantly talk when you're in line somewhere and they start to talk. No, that's not in my country. We don't really speak to each other like that. It happens, but not really. So I'll like walking the city really deep into my thoughts, and then somebody comes, hey, do you have some time? And then I say, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm completely always, right now I'm a bit less like that. And people were looking at me and were saying, hey, you are like this and that, and hey, can you help us? We need money. And I will like spend a lot of money. I gave them all my money. I gave so many people money. I paid their rents. I didn't know how to handle money, for example. I didn't know. I just gave it. And then I was in deep trouble because I didn't care for myself. And or yeah, I was like rather helping others than I was helping me. But it was like a really huge cry for help for me. Going into the city and people were coming towards me, or like in the train, I was sitting listening to my music, absorbed in my music, and then people come, someone was coming up to me and telling me, hey, I saw your aura. And I was like, Okay, yeah, I was attracted to it, and I wanted to speak to you about that and this and that, and so many things like that happened to me. I was like, oh my god. Or people were saying, man, you're an indigo child, like I mentioned in the other videos about indigos. And yeah, it was the beginning of a huge journey to who I am and where I am right now. Because with Pisces and 12th house, so it can really be a huge travel into realms that others don't even dare to discover. I just wanted to have no frontiers, no borders. I wanted to learn what it is to 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 get out of that, and I was so lost. But also in this moment when you lose yourself, you find yourself as well. So I saw so many people who were completely lost with that. With them, they had so they were so afraid of losing their self. They built so many walls around them, and then they meet me, and I'll tell them, "Hey, come, let's go with my mind. If you're open, I can guide you through this because I'm not afraid. I had so many. I had more. I'm more afraid of like taking a straight form, less right now, but then to let it all roam. I know it's not really healthy if you do this too much, but if you focus, okay, let's roam right now. Let's speak right now. Just put it out. Whatever happens, happens. That's just my experience. And what I wanted to close off this video is I'm 40 right now, 40 years old. Yeah, 40 years old. And through lots of sufferings, I had the feeling that my whole life was a perpetual crisis, one crisis after another, after another, after another, because I was looking for myself outside of myself. I was looking for someone to save me. And of course, you attract people. And you attract people who want to manipulate you, want to show you their, because they think they know better who you are than yourself. And through all those crises I was having, and I realized that all what I'm looking for is already here. Yeah, I know it sounds cheesy, but it is true. I know we all want to find the big love, and we want to find the fusion, like I told in another video about the fusion, my experience with love, and but yet right now, through all the suffering I went through, I just learned, hey, there's something, because I was meditating. Of course, I was going to meditation schools and classes, and this is kind of easy for me, just to sit, except especially right now, when after I had some ayahuasca experiences when I was like 2 years ago, and this was right now for me to sit down and to have this experience, to get into this state and open up my mind and expand it. That's not difficult. I think for someone with 12th house, like with the sun, Mercury, and I have some asteroids placed as well, and Priapus also directly on my sun, so I have lots of things going on, and lots of things going on the 6th house as well in Virgo. That is also, of course, intercepted. Where's my Mars, my Jupiter, my Saturn, and Lilith, of course, when Priapus is like there, so it must be on the other side. So yeah, and it's not easy to get access, but I was so into conspiracy, I was so into spiritual things, and I was so far away from this reality. Right now I can try to bring it here. It doesn't sound like really he's completely out of his mind, he's crazy, he is deranged or whatever. But today I don't care anymore if somebody thinks that I'm stupid, deranged, that I'm this or that. Call me any name you want. I know I have an anchor inside my heart, because I was going so far away in both directions. As the Pisces went into the both direction, I went so far, and I saw where I am right now, and right now I can find myself and place my find in the whole universe back. I could even go on like about multi-dimensional beings and all that, but it is that's another subject and doesn't help really in this world, because I like to do this with my head. But so I think I will stop this video here. It was just a sharing of 12th house Sun, 12th house Pisces, and Mercury, 12th house Pisces, how it expresses to someone like me who has this experience. And if you do have any questions, just ask me. Yeah, and yeah, if you're wondering, yeah, of course I am Aries as ascendant, so yeah, really contradictory. And yeah, my moon is in the 10th house in Capricorn, also really not easy, not the best placement for my moon, but maybe this helps me, and even my ascendant helps me a lot. And yeah, Aries, Mars, and my name is Marcel. So I think that's so cool. This is really cool, and that's no coincidence. So bye, love ya, take good care in this time, bye.